What do you need to know about the Secure Act of 2020, and will the Secure Act of 2020 hurt you? Well, first of all, what is the Secure Act of 2020, and how might that affect you? The Secure Act of 2020 made some changes to some of the tax laws. Two possible scenarios where this could affect you. One, let's say you're the beneficiary of funds that have yet to have taxes taken out. So let's say, for example, that heaven forbid your mother and father had an old 401k or some type of retirement vehicle and taxes had yet to be paid on that. It used to be that the government gave you years and years that you could have what they call a stretch IRA. In other words, you didn't have to pay tax on all of that money right up front. You could spread it out over a period of time or stretch it out. That is no longer the case. Let's say, for example, you were blessed to have $1 million of inheritance. Well, you had before the rest of your life to decide how much money you want to take out of that and pay taxes on a given year. Now you might have to pay taxes on that all in 1 year or spread it out over the course of 10 years. But now they said if your inheritance of that $1 million and taxes still needed to be paid on that, you only have 10 years to pay that. Well, that's a good problem to have, but look at what a tax burden that your blessings that your family left for you to benefit you has given you a problem. If you have, depending on what your income is currently, paying taxes of $1 million over 10 years, that's going to probably knock a lot of people into a higher tax bracket. That's also going to affect, did you have a great year that year? Some people might feel like they're being penalized for being successful in receiving this inheritance. Well, how can we avoid this? Well, if we want to get the taxes out of the way earlier and be able to put them into a vehicle that is tax-free when it's passed on to your estate, to your children, maybe you have a trust, or maybe that's another thing that you're interested in is helping us establish a trust to get a lot of those things in order. So a vehicle that's best at transferring wealth from one generation to the next or from one individual to another has always been life insurance, because the death benefit of life insurance is always 100% tax-free, and it blossoms what that cash value or that amount is. $1 million, for example, in premiums in a life insurance policy is going to produce much, much greater than $1 million of death benefit. But even if it's $100,000 and you got to pay taxes higher than what you expected, could be a sizable amount if you're talking about a tax bracket of 20 or 30% or more. So let's look at another scenario how that could affect you. Let's say you wanted to leave an inheritance to your children, and you and your spouse had funds that were in a 401k or other retirement vehicle where you've yet to pay taxes. You enjoyed having that tax benefit by having a tax deduction that year, but you're just delaying the inevitable. You're going to have to pay taxes. So the question is to ask yourself is, do you think taxes in the future are going to stay the same, or do you think they're going to go up? Well, look at all the trillions of dollars in debt our nation is in, and look at the other state of affairs of our government and what they've been talking about for years as far as the tax rates. Actually, right now, the taxes have been lower than they have been in years. So if you think taxes are going to go up, are you really doing your beneficiaries, the people that you love the most in this world, who are going to receive all of your financial blessings when you're no longer here, are you really doing them a favor by keeping it in a vehicle where taxes are yet to still be paid? If you want to avoid your family being forced to only a 10-year period of time, now that might not make much difference if you're only leaving a few $1,000s, because that's not a huge difference. But if you have your entire life savings and you really care about how much is going to your family or your charity or your church or a cause that is important to you, would you want to leave them more money or less money? Well, if you obviously want to leave them more money, what we want to do is we want to be able to get the taxation taken care of sooner rather than later if you believe that taxes may be going up in the future, because you're not really doing yourself or your family a real benefit if you think that taxes are going to go up. Knowing the difference in these laws and looking at the obvious, just simple things like taxation, and if you think that that might be going in the future, then it would probably make sense to get as much of the taxes out of the way now, have that taken care of, and let them grow in another program that you can receive the funds that's 100% tax-free, and it's not at risk like it would be if it was in a Roth or other vehicle where you can still have losses due to the market changes. Stay tuned for the next video in this series. We're going to cover the question, is this a scam, or is the infinite banking concept just a tax scheme? Watch the next video and we'll answer that question. In just a few seconds, the next video in this series will appear at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. At the top left-hand corner of the screen will be the full webinar, which will answer 99% of all of the questions you have. Of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos each week. If you're watching this on a mobile device and directly on YouTube, there's a little arrow on the right-hand side. That'll open up the description below where you'll have a link to our webinar, our Learning Center, as well as have the ability to book a consultation with me directly to see if the infinite banking concept and becoming your own banker is right for you.